Well, welcome to the Nonprofit Leadership Podcast. So glad to have a special guest on the show, Stephane. Really glad to have you here, and he's going to talk all about nonprofit that he is leading back to his home country. And so, Stephane, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. All right. So I love giving my guests an opportunity to share a bit about their background and what they do, because every guest has such a wide variety of experiences and organizations that they're a part of. So share about the mission of your organization. What's the primary goal of empowering underprivileged Ivorians? Am I saying that correctly, by the way?
Yes,
Ivorians?
Ivorians. That's correct. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So
Yeah,
it's the Ivory Coast is what we're talking about for my listeners. But
correct.
yeah, so what's the primary goal of empowering underprivileged Ivorians through job opportunities?
Yeah. So, Ian, thank you so much for having me. I'm
Yeah.
Stephane Aoki from Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire for our French-speaking friends.
Uh-huh.
I'm the founder of Elevate Côte d'Ivoire, and I'll be telling you all about it. And our mission is, like you mentioned, to empower underprivileged Ivorian, and we want to lead them to prosperity. I like to emphasize that in our mission statement, there's no mention of poverty, as in, like, we do know Africa is impoverished, we do know Ivory Coast is impoverished, but we want our people to focus on the end goal, and the end goal for them is to create a life of prosperity. And we found from our research, from talking to people, the best way to do that is to provide job opportunities, or opportunities in general, but most specifically currently we're focusing on jobs, so
Yeah.
they can live a life of prosperity. And a life of prosperity for us is defined as a life where you do not have to worry about your basic needs, essentially.
Like that. Excellent. And you really have focused a lot of your efforts on helping to train folks with job skills and help them flourish through employment. Out of the many things you could focus on, why have you focused on the majority of your efforts to helping people get jobs? You've just mentioned a little bit. Maybe you could talk a little bit more what you found to be so important to helping people have a job, keep a job, and grow in their job.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and perhaps it will help if I perhaps give a little bit of my background.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I grew up in Ivory Coast. Unfortunately for us, we've gone through several civil wars, or like challenges, economical challenges that are similar to some other African countries. So finding a job, finding opportunities for you to earn an income has always been a challenge. Getting a great education was a challenge for us. So I don't want to have to give you my whole life story, but I'll just give
Sure.
you, like, perhaps like a snippet that will help you, understand the Elevate overall mission. So 2011 is an important marker for me when I come back from my religious mission. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, served my
Okay.
mission in Ghana, returned from that mission, and the country has gone through pretty much an economic collapse due to like civil unrest, and then like political tension and all. So I'm back and I want to go to college. Well, my college was affected through the conflict, so closed down for like 2-3 years. So I can't go to college. Most businesses have closed, and it's hard. It's really hard to be able to live, survive, and all. So I'm thinking,
Right.
well, okay, what do I do? Can't get a job. I don't have the education, the skills that I need to get a job. So I become what I call a necessity entrepreneur. Get on the street, try to sell things, various things, and I don't make a lot of money, but I make enough to survive for my needs, to provide for my needs and survive in that economy. And I started asking myself the question, well, it seems like I found a way to make money, somehow. What makes me different from all of my other friends, or like others that are completely struggling? And then the Elevate vision was born. Is like, how can we get youth or people that are struggling in this economic situation to learn whatever it is that they need to learn, address whatever gaps that there is with them, so they can earn something. And that mindset, or that mission, or that vision helped me, or led me to thinking, okay, I need to figure out, what are the skills? I need to figure out what are the things people need to know, so they can get an opportunity in a way that will give them the income or the life that they want, is essentially. So that's where it was born. And from
Okay.
there on, I was able to get a job, then lost that job, as in, like, for like corruption reasons, and wasn't making a lot of money, and it was difficult. And then moved to China,
Oh,
where
wow. Mm-hmm.
I went and got some to further my education, because of the challenge to get a good education. Then that turned out to be a scam. So very difficult time in China, and then eventually get another opportunity to come to the United States, and then get my education here in the US, and then get a great job starting in consulting, and then now working into the IT field. So that journey was, I was searching for one thing essentially. I was searching for an opportunity to be able to get the education that I need, to be able to provide for my needs. But also through that, I kept in mind like what can I learn from China? What can I learn from those countries where I'm at,
Right.
that can be helpful to my people? What has China done differently? What has the U.S. done differently that has made them either developing nation or developed nation, and Ivory Coast can learn from? So from that journey, from that travel, and from my personal experience, um, and also talking to my friends and all, I realized that there's a dire need for opportunities essentially, and that's, I'm here because somebody gave me an opportunity. I
Right.
have a job because somebody gave me an opportunity, and that opportunity was to earn. We need to earn something. We need to be able to provide for ourselves, and that's typical of any other nations. The difference is that country does not produce enough jobs or opportunities for the people to be able to earn their way to prosperity in a way. Um, so
Interesting.
when I started Elevate really I would say my first day of class. I was taking
Oh,
business
really?
class.
Okay.
Yes, I was taking business classes at Ensign College, then LDS Business College. And
Okay.
I would just take notes of whatever the professor was saying about how to better a business or to improve a business. And I would just call my friends on using WhatsApp and Ivory Coast that way. Necessity entrepreneurs like, hey, this is what the Americans are saying you should be doing.
Right.
They're developed, so maybe they're doing something right. So here are my notes. And that's how I started empowering local entrepreneurs and small businesses to grow and to scale. That's essentially how Elevate started.
Okay.
Um, and but again, it was all about opportunity from the very beginning. And I'm gonna wrap it up to give you
Sure.
back to your question. But as we gone through that journey, we had some successes with entrepreneurs, and we had a lot of failures too. And so then I went through this long journey of like, okay, what is not working? It seems like people do want to earn, they want to grow, they want to make a living for themselves. But a lot of businesses that we've helped, we've seen struggles like, the owner will not eat, there's too literal, they'll spend the capital of the business.
Right.
Or they, they will struggle and close, or they'll get demotivated. 'Cause entrepreneurship is really hard. Um, because essentially it is very difficult to keep a long-term perspective, which you need with entrepreneurship when you
Right.
cannot provide for your basic needs. If you
Right.
cannot eat every day, it's hard it's hard to be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna make sure I keep my capital so I can purchase more goods while I'm starving, right? um,
Right.
so anyway, so that thinking and those experiences we learn from entrepreneurs helped us realize, well, maybe yes, the end goal is what everybody wants, but it means to the end is may not be entrepreneurship. And
Right.
and to validate that thinking, as I was learning taking course, I was taking some courses at MIT. They have a fantastic online program that they give, education I give for free, on economic development. Highly recommend it for anybody that's working in that field.
Okay.
Um, they've done a study on like what the poor people want, and that's something that I read. I mean, the result of that study is so incredible.
Yeah.
And I think we don't, sometime in the world of nonprofit, we don't do that enough. We make a lot of
Yeah.
assumptions, right? Like, we
Uh-huh.
think this is what they want. But I think it's very critical for us to get down there and be like, what do you want? Like, how will you envision your life? How do you want your life to be changed? Um,
Yes.
and they've done that in a very clever way. They've, instead of asking the recipient of the help, they ask the parents. And they ask the
Okay.
parents, how would you, if your son could be successful, if you, what's the best thing you wish for your son in terms of career path? um, and they have a list of things. They have like entrepreneurs, engineer, doctors, and all that kind of thing. But
Right.
most shockingly, the overwhelming majority, I think they've done it in India and other poor countries all across the world, in Africa and Southeast Asia,
Okay.
were saying, I want my son to be a government worker.
Huh.
That was a shocker.
It is.
um,
Okay.
yeah, right. It would be like, oh, maybe an engineer, maybe a doctor, right? Like, but they
Exactly.
want to be
Right.
a government worker. And then they drill deeper into it, like, but why? Um,
Yeah.
because people want stability. And
Right.
they do want stability. And it's not just, poor countries. Anybody in the world would love to have something where, there's a stable income, so I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about my basic needs. And the
Right.
developed world has done a great job, to create an infrastructure, a system that creates jobs, that has a very solid economy that provides those opportunities for people, so you don't have to worry about your basic needs. Um, And I like to talk about this. I mean, I sometimes laugh at me 10 years ago. Um, I would, I came here and was very blessed to have this wonderful family, the Van Langveld. They live in Salt Lake City here in Utah, and they took
Okay.
me like the host son in a way. They adopted me in their family, and I would I would go every day to the fridge and just open it and just look at it and smile. And it was
Wow.
exciting to me because having a full fridge was to me such a high privilege.
Right.
It's just because I was like, wow, I could go to school. I could just go about my day and don't worry that at night when I come back there won't be any food left. Like
Right.
that was a constant stressor that I had to experience as a child and as an adult over there that was completely gone
Okay.
because there was stability.
Right.
And that's why we want to focus on job. We do create jobs because it gives people the stability of income, the stability of their life, and it frees up the mental space in the head of like, okay, now I don't have to worry about food or water. Okay, what else can I do? And it's just so incredible to see what people become or what they
Right.
create, what they can
Mhm.
imagine, the world they can create. They can't, it's hard to dream when you're hungry, um,
Right.
just by giving someone the guarantee that every month you're going to have enough to pay for your rent, for your food, and for your basic expenses. And the transformative power of that is just incredible. And that's why we narrowed it down to that specific focus.
Yeah.
So that was a
Love
very
that. Well, thanks for
long-winded
the
answer
background.
to the question.
Yeah. No, it's good. There's a lot there, I know, and I love your passion for it as well. So, certainly, when you do the aspect of helping create more job opportunities, that has a ripple effect in many different areas of someone's life. So,
Yes.
maybe talk about that as you've created more job opportunities for those you serve. How has it also contributed to better healthcare, maybe better education for these
Yes.
families you're serving?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I like to use the example of when I'm in school, my friends would tell me like, tell me about malaria, tell me about growing up in Africa, and I'll tell them, I've had malaria like more than 50 times, and then like they freak out. Oh my gosh, you okay? Like, how did you survive? This is insane because I think there's a
Right,
perception here that you get malaria, you're dead, right? Which
right, right,
true in a lot of ways. But then I say, well, the reason I survived malaria or typhoid fever, all those deadly diseases, is because my dad had a stable job. He wasn't
yeah,
making a ton. He had a stable job and he could access healthcare. So whenever I got sick, we knew we could at least buy medications,
yeah,
and it's huge.
yeah,
It's very huge, and in essence, I see this as, and my vision there has been, how do we tackle the root cause of poverty? Like,
right,
I I can't afford healthcare, I can't get clothing, I can't have food. I think those are consequences
yeah,
of poverty. But the root cause is just a lack of basic necessity, lack of basic income. And when
yeah,
people have that kind of income, then they can easily say, my son is sick. I can go to the hospital and I can take them there because it's not very expensive. I was just in Ivory Coast recently. I had a great doctor visit that cost me $20.
okay,
Um, and that was without insurance, as I don't have
okay,
insurance over there. So it's
right,
not that expensive. But $20 is 5 times what the average person earns a day. So
right,
compared to
okay,
my cost of living, to me, it's like, oh, $20. I go to the doctor in the United States. That's incredibly cheap for compared to the US. It's not even
right,
my copay, right? With insurance. But over
right,
there, it's 5 times what someone earns. But if you, with our program, with 10x people's income, and I'm going to talk a bit about some of the stories there, then it's like, I was talking to one of my virtual assistants. She was like, yeah, my son is sick. He needs new glasses. But she and I have been talking over the years, and she said it in a way of like, yes, she's stressed as a mother, but it was like, yeah, we're gonna go tomorrow to the hospital and just figure this out. But
okay,
she can say that with confidence today because she's now earning 5, 6 times what she used to earn. But before, the story was different. Like, my son is sick, he doesn't have what he needs. Well, we just have to deal with it because
right,
there's no way we're going to the hospital. So it makes a huge impact there. And on
okay,
education, again, it's the same principle of like, I don't have to worry about my food. Then it's like I don't have to worry about my rent. Then it's like, okay, what else can I do? And it's crazy how, I mean,
right,
I've seen that shift with me when I moved to the United States. I was like, okay, well, I could learn this, I could learn that. I started getting hobbies. Hobbies are not a thing over there. Like, How have you eaten?
Right.
Have you eaten enough yet for you to like? Have you provided
Absolutely.
for your basic needs? We just don't think that way, and it's
No.
incredible. Like today here, I garden. I got into like decoration. I was telling him about my background and stuff, but that's because I eat enough. That's because I have my
Yep.
basic needs taken care of. And so we have our virtual assistants today that I enroll with programs like BYU Pathway,
Uh-huh.
online education. And that's not
Yep.
something we push them to do. They're just like, I would love to get more education. I would love to learn a new skill. But that's
Yep.
when your basic needs are taken care of and your family's safe, then you have the confidence to move forward and do such things.
What a great description. It's so true. When you don't have the basics,
Yeah,
if you have a hungry stomach, it's very difficult to learn and to
yeah,
read and to want to do any of, certainly not even think about hobbies, So
yeah,
love how you describe that. Well, one of the other things you do, as I learned, is providing financial assistance.
yeah.
And I'm curious on how you do this, because on the one hand, you want to provide financial assistance, right? But on
Mm,
the other, you're encouraging self-reliance through getting a good job.
that's right.
How do you balance the two, and how does that work out when someone comes in it with a need? Is it a period of time that they get financial assistance? Is
Mm-hmm.
it if they already have a job that they get a certain amount of assistance? Maybe they get more if they don't have a job. Yeah, break that down for us. How does that work?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question, and I don't think I'll say we have figured this out entirely. It's a
Sure.
very tough balance because you see someone who's suffering today, they need the help,
Right.
and then you tell them, well, train for 6 months and get a job, and eventually you get the help. It's a hard answer to say. It's a hard no to say to people when you know that they're suffering. So we we prioritize those who believe are the most underprivileged. And there's definitely a range in terms of like underprivileged levels. So widows, we have widows that we help. They've lost the husband was a primary the breadwinner of the family. The husband is gone. That means the job, the income, everything's gone.
Yep.
And now they're left with 5, 6 kids. So when I was in Ivory Coast, I make the effort to visit widows. I care so deeply about widows. And there's not an easy answer for them. And unfortunately, a lot of them do not know how to read or write. It's a
Okay.
nature, it's this a huge population of women in Ivory Coast cannot read or write. So it's very hard to help them move to a stable job income. The kind of job that we provide
Right.
is not just fit for them. Um, so with such a demographic, we do have a program where we provide rice assistance or like very basic food items that we help with from time to time. And then we look into what we can do beyond that. And that's very much of per case basis. So last time the widow we visited, she had a daughter that had just graduated from college. She doesn't have a job. So we were like, hey, well, why not join our community? Yes, your mother has a little business she's hustling with, trying to provide
Mhm.
for the family, but perhaps we can give you a job, so then you can help the family. And just some bit of cultural background there, we like to say that children in Africa, and Ivory Coast specifically, are like this parent social security. This is our
Right.
retirement plan. There's an expectation that children will provide for their kids, so for their parents. So in that context, we provide financial like basic necessities assistance to the widow,
Okay.
and then we ensure most of the kids usually have gone through school. We help them with getting a job so they can help their family. So that's a model we're exploring.
Okay.
And not beyond that, we do, just one time, like big assistance. Like COVID was a time where we're like, hey, we
That.
really need
Right.
help. When there's like a disaster, disaster recovery, disaster help aid. We
Yep.
don't do a ton of that, but like we believe
Yep.
that in cases like this, it does make sense to be able to give
Yeah.
a one-time help. But as we do that, then we say, hey, look, by the way, we have this program that can help you get a job. And if you just can't qualify, then we'll find you other things. And we would love actually, in fact, eventually to get back to the entrepreneurship lessons that we used to do. Because
Right.
with some of those women or like orphans or others that we're helping that don't have like the skills or the education baseline that we need to get them like a remote job, for example, we do want to
Yep.
make sure that they have a way to still provide for themselves, yeah, and their basic necessity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Well,
Yeah,
related to this is the importance of realizing and addressing the many layers of challenges I'm sure that are faced by underprivileged Ivorians. How
yeah,
do you take into account the many potential barriers in the empowerment process of individuals that you're helping? Because
yeah,
there's so many different things you could do to come
yeah.
alongside to help these families. How do you differentiate all those different challenges?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's tough. It's tough. It's Poverty is a complex issue.
Right,
It's a complex issue. So it's a sometimes even saying that we'll solve poverty is it's so bold because you get down to like, yeah, there's a macroeconomics. There's not enough jobs. There's there's not enough industries. There's not enough mechanization for agriculture. There's all these issues, and then you get to individual level and family level, and there's so many stories, of like, why did this person end up where they are today? And
right,
it's hard to solve, to create a solution design that can help us solve the problems for everybody.
right,
So in a way, sometimes we create solutions at the level of like, okay, we think that'll help the most people. Like, okay, remote jobs that could help a good chunk of people.
right.
But then you get, like I said, a widow that comes to you and say, I never touched a computer. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
And then I need help. Then you're like, well, we need to think about creative ways to be able to support this demographic and all. So with our approach, so we've as we realize it's important to have a focused target in terms of this is what we do for people. It's also important to have a focused demographic. And for now, we're focusing on young, educated, and unemployed Ivorians. And which is millions. The African populations is very young. Millions of
yeah,
people in that case. I've had at least a high school degree. I'm young. I just don't have a job because there's not enough jobs. We help you in that process, and I can describe that process a bit later. But from certain other demographic, we still haven't quite figured out. Okay, that's the best way to help them, and that's a
okay,
big barrier because what we have in place is what we can service them, what we can offer them today will match their needs, and it doesn't fill the gap for them. So I would say, like, for us, we just take it a demographic per demographic,
okay,
and impact, know really well that demographic, know their needs, their aspirations, their goals. Every time I travel there, I was even surprised to go to Ghana. That's my last time in Ghana. I was just asking, like, what's your dream? Like, what do you want to accomplish? Like, what's the life that you want to do to those youth? Because that's our demographic. I'm also
right,
in the professional sense, I'm a product manager, so I do a lot of customer interviews, and I like to drill down to the problem and figure out a solution. And that we
sure,
apply those principles, I think, in a nonprofit, and understanding. And most of them will say, "I want a job," like, and
yeah,
I'll ask them, "What that job? Like, how much you wanted to pay?" And they will say, $500 a month would be like the best salary I can ever get, which is not very much in the United States. But
right.
over there, it's a big amount. So I think, to your question, like, there are barriers, there are challenges, and not to even mention the language barrier. That's a whole different
There you
problem.
go. Right, another one. Another one.
They're French speakers, then you have to insert them in the English world. So like figuring all that is complicated, but it's a lot easier when you have a focused target, focused demographic. We do want to help the entire country, but we also realize that, because of all the challenges and barriers that is due to the complex nature of poverty, we just have to take one focus at a time. Um,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, it totally is. Okay. And so let's talk about that. What's the typical process of someone going through your program and
Mhm.
moving towards these different levels of forward success, really into self-reliance? Do you have a story or two you could share that someone who's gone through it and really been successful?
Yes, yeah. So I like to take the example of Ruth. So Ruth Awuna is a single mother from
Okay.
Nigeria. So she and I serve a religious mission together in Ghana.
Okay.
So she went back. She's from Nigeria. Went back to Nigeria. Went back to Ivory Coast. We kept in touch
Okay.
loosely over the years.
Okay.
She had two beautiful children. And then her husband left her, and then she's not a single mother. She has to take care of those two kids.
Okay.
So she was a teacher in Nigeria, making $30 to $40 a month. It's extremely low, for that country. Even it's very low. It's difficult to survive on this. While
Right.
she has to pay for all of her expenses, pay for her children's school fees, and all of that kind of thing. So
Right.
then she comes to me, and over the years, say, "Hey, could you help me out?" and all that. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And then at that time, we've made a couple one time help to like sponsoring the children's education.
Right.
And at some point, and when the Elevate current vision as was developing, I was like, "Hey, like, I think actually she reached out to me first, and she was like, "Hey, like, would you have a job for me? Would you have something I could do that could
Right.
help?" And I was like, "You know what? Maybe I do actually. I do." And we were just working in Ivory Coast, and we expanded from that, and I hired her from Nigeria, and so she was teaching elementary school. Then in the evening she'll just do clean. She'll clean to make enough money. But that just wasn't enough. I think she was maybe at like
Right.
$50 a month. So then she comes to us, and she never worked read on the computer. She may have a little bit here and there. She's never worked remotely.
Okay.
She doesn't know the tools that we use and all that. So she comes into our program, and we have this extensive three months program, which I mean it's been evolving as we're learning and growing.
Okay.
Where she's completely onboarded to like, okay, this is how you collaborate virtually or remotely. They use,
Yeah.
and it's very very much have to go to the basics, because it's just a gap between like how we work remotely here and then over there, when they've never worked remotely at all. You have to kind
Right.
of teach them, okay, here's how you work remotely. These are project management tools. Here's our productivity tools, Google Docs
Yep.
instead of Word that they usually use because you're working remotely. How
Sure.
do you collaborate remotely, and all of those things are part of that overall training. And then we get into the skill specific things like how to design, how to create videos, editing videos, because we train for social media managers, for bookkeepers, um, for administrative assistants. So it's all virtual or all remote work related things are the things that we
Yeah.
train for. And as they go through our program, we identify their strength, and then we help them like focus on something that they're stronger in. So perhaps sometimes the social media aspect management is where they're strong in, and not so much in bookkeeping. Some are strong in the bookkeeping and all. And once
Right.
they've gone through that process and training, and they get like a sort of internship from our the partner businesses we work with, to give
Yeah.
them that experience, and then from there, then they get a client. So right now, Ruth has two clients that she's working with. One in the real estate world, one in the fitness world, completely different. And she does
Okay.
social media for them. She does administrative assisting. So that's kind of what a journey was like. And also, talking about how our process worked. And today she's earning anywhere from 5 to 6 times what she
Right.
used to
Wow.
earn before. And we haven't done any sort of help or assistance again ever since then, because now
Wow.
she
Okay.
has the money. That her kids go to private school. She was telling me that the I
Wow.
think the oldest wants to play basketball, so he's now in basketball class. I think the
Okay.
youngest was getting into music classes. Like all the things that again that were like impossible dreams for the children are now real, because she has she has a stable income, and it's
Fabulous.
fantastic. And that's why we work so hard to do these things. It's just seeing that the kids now can dream bigger than they could have, because they're like, oh, mother now has a better job, and then like we can go to private school, we can have a great education, we can do all those extracurricular activities that were just like, no, you never get to do this because you're poor, type of thing. And it's just incredible to see how much it's changing the lives of
Yeah.
her Ruth and her children as well.
Oh, I love that. Thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the last questions I was going to ask you is, you grew up in this country. Obviously, you're coming back and you're serving and
Mhm.
helping to really invest in this next generation. What's
Mhm.
giving you hope from the work you're seeing there in the Ivory Coast? And particularly, I'm thinking majority of my audience is Americans, although we have people from all over the world that tune in.
Mhm.
Give us a sense of what's going on in the Ivory Coast, and again, what's giving you hope specifically?
Yeah. I would say, let me think through this. So the first thing is what we're seeing, the change we're seeing in those people. I think it makes a tremendous difference. To give you the story of Roots, I have other stories I could share. Seeing how they're changing, see
Okay.
how what it enables them to do. With friends on social media, so I'll check out their stories or the things that they're doing. It's just incredible to see, like the freedom that they've gotten, and then the empowerment, from being able to do all the things that they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. It's just incredible. It gives us hope that there's goodness there. There are people that are willing to work. And as I visit there, and I keep always checking, I like love to do my little research and like, hey, we have this thing, like we could train you, we can help you, but like tell me what are your dreams or aspiration. And it's just incredible to see that, regardless of what the challenges they're facing, people still dare to dream big. They say, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get these things. I don't know if I'll ever be able to like not worry about food and shelter. but I would love, to have my own place. I would love to have, to be able to have a good education, or, to be
Yeah.
able like, over there, it's like, it's important to, like, I can get my mother something. It's important to, like, bless our mothers, or like do something big for our mothers. Like, that's important to people. And like, I want to be able to, at least when my mother's still alive, I want to, like, shower her with gifts and all. But if I could get the income to do those things. And it's incredible to see that the people are still dreaming, and they want, all they need is an opportunity, to be able to get to that dream. So that really excites me.
Mm,
And our population is young; it's very young. I think they've seen 50 to 60% of that the African population is, like, I don't, under 20 or 25. I can't remember the statistics there. It's a young population, it's a vibrant population they're willing to work, they're willing
yeah.
to put in the effort. But all they're looking for is an opportunity. And many of them think that opportunity has to be abroad. I have to leave because they feel like they can't find that opportunity. And I had to, but I want to tell them, I tell the youth over there, like, look, not everybody will have that chance to leave. As much as
Right.
you want to, it's difficult. So how about we bring you the dream that you're trying to live abroad to the country? And that's what Elevate's all about. We want to bring you that dream. I came and lived the American dream. I came with $50, and the motherfucker did all the things, and it's incredible. Good job, invested in real estate, did all those things, and I'm like, if I could have stayed there, and I would have loved to have that opportunity to be able to realize those dreams in my community. And that's
Right.
what gets me excited the most. And not
Yep.
just for individuals and family, but for the entire country. How can I serve my
Yeah.
country better? And there's so much to do there in agriculture, in, like,
Yep.
education. There's just so much work to do. And when I go back, and I keep getting even more excited about all the things that we could be doing, all the things I could learn from the United States, that I've learned from China, that
Right.
I could bring into my country and then to my people, and be like, yes, we can do it together. We have the resources, we have the manpower. We just need to get together and have people, of great minds, from all over the world, of great heart, that are willing to support us. And then I think together we can develop the country. It is possible. It's completely possible. It just needs the resources and the right folks that are aligned on that vision.
Well, love your enthusiasm, love that energy and the vision. So for my listeners who want to find out a little bit more about you, find out more about your organization, where would you send them?
Yeah, so oneelevate.org is our
Okay.
website.
Yep.
That's where you can find all the awesome things we're doing.
Okay.
And we, like I was mentioning before, like, we would love to have, people of all backgrounds to help us out.
Yeah.
The last thing we'll ask you is money. We
Yep.
don't really fundraise like most organizations, because we've created a system where our job can help support our organization, or the economic opportunities that we've created. We've invested in local businesses in Ivory Coast that also help support our.
Nice.
For example, like, we have a rice farm. From the
Okay.
surplus of that rice farm, we use the money, or the product, to donate to widows or
Nice.
underprivileged populations.
Nice.
So we have those ways to sustain our business, but we always need great minds, from all over the world, whether it's to help with, social media strategies to grow our audience, to reach more people, or jobs. If you have the entrepreneurs listening here, or even the nonprofit leadership audience here, if you need social media help, you need bookkeeping, all those things, it's a double way to help. Your organization help people, and then you're
Right.
hiring people that you're helping as well. So, like,
Love
all those things is really what we would love to have people, like, collaborate and work with us. And I'm always reaching out organizations, like farming, for example, is a big part of, like, we need to get people food sustainably. I,
it. Yeah.
I reach out organizations all the time. It's like, it looks like you've mastered farming, or it looks like you've mastered, the ability to educate your people. So if you are so good at it, I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Right. Totally.
if you're teaching English to people in poor countries and all, come teach us. We English is a huge barrier to helping those people, expand their mind and also get opportunities. Like, come partner with us. So all I'm saying is skills, minds. We want to bring everybody together, out there that's listening, that has a skill or an experience that they would love to share with us. And I think the collaborative nature of, bringing our minds together, bringing our resources together, can make a more significant impact in Ivory Coast and in Africa.
Well, again, love your energy. Thanks for taking time to be on the show. And thanks for all you're doing to really make a difference in people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Have a fantastic day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.